In this particular presentation, we're going to focus on how we see different colors and what is color mixing. So objects appear to be a particular color based on the light that is actually reflected off of those particular objects. So what we actually see, so here's a person right here, and we have a red apple. And we have sunlight that is coming down and striking this apple. Now, sunlight is made up of all of the visible light spectrum, so this is actually white light. Sunlight is considered white light, which is a combination of all of the different colors. So all of those colors of light strike the red apple, and because the apple's true color is red, when that visible light strikes the apple, only red light is reflected off of the apple and reaches the person's eyes, and so that particular person sees that apple as being red. All of the other colors of the visible light spectrum are absorbed. So objects reflect light of some frequencies and absorb all the rest. And so in this particular case with my red apple is reflecting the red light and absorbing all of the other colors, and the apple appears red. Objects that absorb light and reflect no light at all would look or appear to be black. And the other thing that's important, and we're going to see here, is objects can only reflect frequencies that are present in the illuminating light. So there has to, what does that mean? That means there has to, in order to see this red apple, there has to be some red light that's actually hitting the apple and reflect and is able to reflect back off. So if there was no red light in that visible spectrum that's actually hitting the red apple, then I would not see that red apple as being red. And there's some different examples that we have to think about as we think about this. So let's think a little bit more. So one of the first things we have to understand about color and light is that there are actually three primary colors of light: red, green, and blue. Red, blue, and green. These are different than the primary colors that we learn when we're young in terms of art class. So we have to be a little bit careful. So primary colors of light are red, blue, and green. When we mix these colors together, all three of these colors mixed, we actually get white light. So here are three, here's my blue, here's my green, and here's my red. And if I were doing this in class, I would actually do a demonstration. I have these lights that actually are these three colors. But when I mix them together, all three of those together, they overlap in this region right here. And what I see is that those colors all mixed together, blue, green, and red, produce white light. There's also something called the complementary colors. The complementary colors are when you mix two of the primary colors. So if I mix red and blue, here's red and here's blue, and where they overlap, I get magenta. If I mix blue and green, there's blue, there's green, I get cyan. And if I mix red and green, I get yellow. This is a hard one for people because it's not something you would think of, but if you mix red and you mix green, you get this yellow color. So, so we could see this in a demonstration. There's actually a great YouTube video that talks about this color mixing and actually shows this using sort of like laser pointers or colors, these three different colors, and shows this mixing. I would urge everyone to take a look at this because there's a great discussion about how we mix colors. So the reason that we have these three primary colors and the way that our brain works essentially is, and I am not a biologist and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but in our eyes we have rods and cones. And the cones that we have red cones, blue cones, and green cones. And so when we see a particular color, those cones are activated. So when I see something that's green, the green cones in my eye are activated. If I see something that's red, the red cones are activated. If I see something that's yellow, then both my green cones and my red cones are activated, and that tells my brain that the color of that is yellow. So some people are colorblind, and the reason that they're colorblind is because some of their cones do not work properly. So maybe they're red colorblind, and that basically means that their red cones don't work, so they're not going to be able to see anything that has that mixture or requires red light to get that color. So they could see blue, they could see green, they could see cyan. They're not going to be able to see that magenta. They're not going to be able to see yellow, because to get yellow, you have to be able to see some red. So that just kind of gives you an example of how our eyes work and all of this mixing. There's also this subtractive color as well, the primaries. So we can take magenta and we can mix it with yellow, and we can see, you know, what happens in terms of what we get. Now this is actually a little bit different, because this would be like using filters that we would have. So it's not mixing colors, it's using filters. So if I had a magenta filter and I had a yellow filter, and I were to shine light through those particular filters, like a magenta piece of glass and a yellow piece of glass, only the red would be transmitted through, because of the fact that that magenta is made of red and blue, yellow is made of red and green, and so the combination of those two would allow the red through, and so on. If I were to combine all of these together as filters, it's not going to allow any of the light through, because there's not magenta, cyan, and yellow they all don't contain one particular color. So be careful of this in terms of what this represents here. These are actually filters of light, and what would allow, you know, what color would come through if I were to combine those two filters. So in terms of seeing color, one thing that's always a challenge is understanding exactly what would happen when we shine light on objects. So in this particular picture, I have a red strawberry, and I have a yellow lemon, and I have a green apple. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at what color each one of these particular fruits would appear if I shine different color light on them. So in order to see the strawberry, I have to have some red light shine to be able to see it, so that red light can reflect off. In order to see the green apple, I have to have green light in order, you know, so that the green light can reflect off. In order to see the yellow lemon, remember a lemon is yellow. Yellow is made up of red and green. So if I want to see this as yellow, some light that contains red and green is going to have to reflect off of that lemon for me to see it as yellow. So, okay, so let's think about what's happening. So I've got all of these, and when all three of these fruits are sitting on a plate and white light is we shine white light on all of them, they all appear to be their normal color. If I were to take the same plate and I were to take and shine a red light on it, we could ask what color each one of these would appear to be. The strawberry would still appear to be red, because red light can reflect off the strawberry. The lemon, what color does that lemon appear to be? The lemon actually appears to be red. So what's happening is that red light is striking the lemon, and because the lemon was originally yellow, and yellow contains red and green light, the, the red light strikes that lemon and reflects off. But there's no green light in red to reflect off and produce the yellow. So up in the top picture, when white light strikes this lemon, it contains red and green, and so the red and the green combine together and it appears yellow. In this picture, the lemon appears red because I only have red light to reflect off. The green apple appears to be black, and the reason for that is because red light does not contain any green. If I take green light and I shine it on that plate, the green apple appears green. The red strawberry appears black because there is no red light to be reflected off. I only have green. Green is a primary color, so that that strawberry will appear black, except for the top of the strawberry, right? The top of the strawberry was green, and so that appears green. When the red light was was shown on it, the top appeared black, and the leaf up here that was green appeared black. The lemon over here in this picture will actually appear green now because green light strikes the lemon. It reflects off of the lemon, and so I see that lemon is green. There's no red light to reflect off to combine with the green to make it appear yellow. So finally, I get to the bottom picture and I put blue light on all of these. And each one of them will appear black because blue is one of the primary colors. Red does not contain any blue, so there's nothing to reflect off in the red part of the spectrum to make that appear red. The yellow lemon only contains red and green, so it's going to appear black, and of course the green apple appears green. So everything here is going to appear black because there is no red or green light to reflect off of those substances to make them appear a particular color. So we have to, we have to think about what kind of light is actually striking a surface or striking an object and what color it will appear. So in terms of the primary colors, red, green, and blue, if an object is one of those colors, then you have to have one of those colors strike that surface so that it can appear red, green, or blue. If we have something that is not one of the primary colors, like the yellow lemon, then you can actually have that object appear to be different colors based on the type of light that's actually shown on it, like red or green. And in this case, when the blue light shines, it appears black. The same principle also basically works with filters. So a filter is only going to allow a certain color of light through. So I have a red apple that has a green, some green leaves on it. And if I put a red filter in front of it, the apple still appears red, the leaf appears black because it was green and the green light can't be transmitted through that filter. If I place a green filter in front of the apple portion appears black because it will not allow the red light that's being reflected off of the apple to pass through the green filter, but the leaf, which was green, that light can pass through the filter, so I see that as green. And then finally over here, if I put a blue filter on here, the apple just appears black in both places because blue, of course, is a primary color. It does not contain green or red. So the red light from the apple is absorbed by that blue filter, doesn't pass through, and the same thing is true of the green leaf.